before we press record, we got the release that Seth Trimble, starting two-guard for North Carolina, 17 points in the win over Kansas, the best perimeter defender they have, one of the best on-ball perimeter defenders in college basketball, is going to miss some time after suffering a broken bone in his left arm during a practice on Sunday afternoon. That was today. He will be undergoing surgery. I believe it's tonight, and the hope and thought is that he will be back maybe by ACC play. Goodman, you have a little bit more information on the facts surrounding this injury.
Again, they're not going to know for sure until surgery, but a source told me that they're thinking right now it's going to be somewhere in the 6 to 8 week range, which obviously takes it, into league play. The good news is obviously you're talking about somebody that has been in the program for a while, so he'll be able to pick up and where he left off, which was expanded role leadership wise. And we saw that even at ACC Media Day. He's become a lot more vocal than he was over the last couple of years. But an elite defender whose offense, listen, at times he can help you. He's not a great shooter, but, he can score the ball and certainly be a reliable offensive option for a team that right now has plenty of firepower. We saw Caleb Wilson, and we know Henry Visar can score, but this is a major loss for a team that's coming off a huge win.
That's the frustrating part of it, right, is that North Carolina had this moment on Friday night that felt like it was the launching point for their season. Caleb Wilson comes out here and looks like a guy that needs to be in the conversation for the number one pick. They come back from 10 points down and really run Kansas out of the state of North Carolina in the second half. They look like a team that is on the verge of being ready to compete with the Dukes and the Louisvilles at the top of the ACC, where North Carolina basketball belongs. And I know Seth Trimble is not like the biggest name, right? The pieces that are the stars there are Caleb Wilson and Henry Visar, probably the most highly paid players on that roster. I'd make the argument the best players on that roster. But he is the connector. He is the guy that is willing to make the extra pass, that can be a backup point guard, that can be a facilitator, that doesn't care about scoring and is your best perimeter defender. That is a big loss, especially when you're in an era where you have this much turnover, and he is the continuity. He is the guy that's coming back. He is the leader. He is the guy that kind of brings everything, the straw that stirs the drink, if you will, Goodman. And also a really good kid.
They don't have a proven point guard yet. So I think that's the part for Seth Trimble. It really enables their other point guards to feel a little more at ease because they don't have to do everything. Seth Trimble, again, he's been in the program. He knows the system. He knows Hubert Davis. Obviously, we know he can guard, but I think eventually, right, he's that kind of complementary point guard, in a sense, because again, he can move the ball. He's not a big time scorer, but he can get you double figures too.
And let's say that he is out the 6 to 8 weeks, right? Today is November 10th. 6 weeks from now is about the time that they would play Ohio State in the CBS Sports Classic in New York City. About 8 weeks from now is more or less New Year's Day, right? So that would be the second game of ACC play. So I think if you are a North Carolina fan, the hope is that you get Seth back for ACC play and that you have them ready to go when you kind of get into the meat of ACC play. Because you missed the Michigan State game, you missed the Fort Myers tip-off, you missed the game at Kentucky, which is a big blow, and you missed Georgetown at home, and that looks like a game that is going to be significant for their non-conference schedule. But you don't play any of your big games, your big opponents in the ACC until later in the season. You get Louisville all the way down at the end of February. You have Duke February 7th, and obviously on the last day of the regular season. So you still have a chance to be able to win some of those games. And the other thing, and maybe I'm just looking at this from a silver lining perspective, but it allows a guy like Derek Dixon and specifically Luka Bogovic to kind of step into those bigger roles and get kind of acclimated to college. Like, you got to figure it out now because you guys are going to be asked to play 25 minutes.
I mean, he's 22 years old, Luka. So he's going to be able to figure it out. He's not a point guard, but he can, the hope is he can fill the role of Seth Trimble here because, he is a guy who can move the ball. He again, good athlete, not a great athlete, but needs to become a better defender. That's where it's going to hurt him. That's where it's going to hurt him the most, is defensively, because Trimble is your best perimeter defender. But yes, it will certainly open more minutes for Luka. Who's
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, and then we're going to get to Liberty head coach Richie McKay. Does this change at all how you feel about North Carolina after?
No, because again, it's not like you're taking a freshman out of the lineup. You're taking a veteran. You're taking a guy who knows everything. He can go right back in and again assume the same role that he had for the first 2 games. So I'm not worried about that at all. And he'll be a good leader from the sidelines.
And I do think you're going to take some lumps earlier on, probably because you don't have this guy there. But I think long term, big picture, that some of those guys that maybe need to get acclimated to, for Luka, American basketball, and for Derek playing in college, it'll allow them a chance to kind of get thrown into the fire and be ready to go. We wanted to get to that first off the top because North Carolina is a big story and because Seth Trimble is so important to what they do. When we come back, Liberty